Hello, how are you? I would like today to talk to you about the DISC. The DISC is an acronym that is compiled of four different letters, D and I and S and C. And each of those letters means something. The D means drive or dominance. The I means influence. The S means steadiness and support. And the C means compliant, conscientiousness, or consistency. So each one of those letters means something. And today I would like to look at the different elements of the DISC and how it influences actually the way each of those dimensions of the DISC are. When we look at the first element, the drive or the dominance, and we start to grab hold of a little bit of a deeper understanding of the person that measures high on the D, the following words are very applicable to describe a person with a high score on D. One of the words that would explain a person like that is the person is driven by results, a results-driven person. D people like winning, they like to compete, they like it when there's a challenge, and they specifically like it if there's a good outcome for them. So they would drive for results. Another word that would explain a D is they are competitive. They like to compete. Whenever you find a D at some place and there is a game to be played or something that we have to do, then they would like to make it a competition. And for them, it's always the best if they can win. They're also risk takers. They like to take risks, not afraid to take risks. They, in some ways, got quite an appetite for risks. It doesn't mean that they do it without calculating the risk, but they would step up to the plate and they would take risks if they feel it's necessary to get done what they need to do. Another word that would describe them is that they're venturesome. So in the business world, it means that they could be a bit entrepreneurial, like to move out there, get things done. The combination of being a risk taker and being competitive make them venturesome, which means that they would explore options, explore possibilities. If you're an entrepreneur, then this is most probably a good description of who you are, a person that's venturesome, exploring, looking at options, seeing what you can do, how you can do it to make a business work. If you're a father, then you're venturesome by instilling this explorative nature in your children, making them excited about learning about new things. Or if you're a mother, you might energize the kids and go on different things and take them to explore different things. Whatever role you would fulfill as a D or a person measuring high on D is that you are venturesome and you actually like adventure. Another word that would explain the D is strong-willed. They are people that can sometimes focus, and when they set their minds to doing certain things, they would like to get it done, and they would not like to be opposed. They don't like to be opposed because of their competitive nature and being strong-willed. They would like to take any hindrance out of their way to achieve what they need to achieve because they're results-driven. And then another word that would explain the D is that they're direct. So they don't beat around the bush. They come in and they explain things as they believe they see them. And they would be direct in their interpersonal relationships as well, where they would communicate directly with you or would say things as they are. I think they prize themselves often saying that they are realistic. And because they're realistic, they can, communicate things in a realistic way. They're also very decisive. When they set their minds on things, and they make a decision to achieve something or to pursue something, then they would be very decisive in that. And when things change or don't work out the way they would like it to work out, or how they have set themselves out to see how things work, then they might be disappointed and start to push only harder to get things done the way they want them to be done. And also in their decision making, very decisive, would come to a conclusion and say this is what it is, and they won't, entertain or contemplate, might it be this or might it be that. These tend to be a bit more black and white people, see things for what it is, and they operate according to that. Another word that would describe a high D or a person that measures high on D is determined. You don't put them off, set them from their course. You don't just shoulder them out of the queue. They are very determined to achieve what they want to achieve. And when they set their minds to do something, there is, because of that strong-willedness, they would continue to do what they know they should be doing. And another word that would describe the D quite accurately is that they are problem solvers. So their response, if you can remember in my overview video where I spoke about distinctions that we can draw, the D and the I, the drive, person with drive, and the person that likes to exert influence, that's the I, what the I means. And then at the bottom, the S and the C. When we look at, for instance, introversion and extroversion, the D and the I tend to be more extroverted, active, outgoing. And the S and the C at the bottom, they tend to be more contemplative, introverted, reflective. So these tend to be problem solvers. So whenever a problem appears in their environment or they see a problem, they approach it directly and they want to solve the problem. They don't want to sit around and wonder who's going to take care of the problem. They tend to be engaging in that regard, that they want to solve problems. They actually enjoy solving problems. In my practice as an executive coach, sometimes I sit with executives and they would tell you about all the problems that they experience and all the challenges that they have to deal with. And often I would remark to them, that is the spice of life, isn't it? You actually enjoy problems because you're so drawn to them and you enjoy actually solving them. And then obviously there's a wry smile. Yes, it's true. I enjoy solving problems. And many of my clients are actually Ds, especially in the corporate world and especially on the higher levels of leadership. So another word that would describe the D quite accurate is that they are responsible. They don't shy away from taking responsibility. And they would really take ownership of things and take responsibility. Responsibility is a great thing. Stephen Covey divides the word responsible in two words, response and able. And able means the ability to respond the way you choose. And he correlates that ability to take responsibility as being very proactive, which is one of the 7 habits of highly effective people. So if you can take responsibility for your life and you can work with the things that come your way and you don't shy away from that, typically what a D would do, then that is quite a great habit to cultivate in life. And it seems that the D, the person that measures high on D, they've got this natural ability and inclination to respond to things around them and to take responsibility. And then another word that also describes the person that measures high on D is ambitious. They've got a lot of ambition. Whatever they they do or pursue is that they are very ambitious about that. They like to share the world with other people, and they like to share their lives with other people, them being a bit more outgoing and active. And they do have a lot of ambition to achieve goals and to pursue a vision in life. I think personal ambition is not a bad thing. I think one should just balance it that it doesn't consume you. So that might be a bit of a development area or a weakness of the D, is that they can be so driven because of being strong-willed and results-driven, and especially if it's fueled by their ambition, that they also have this natural tendency to be ambitious. Then it might drive them to disregard relationships and to be sensitive in relationships, something that they, if they become self-aware of that, can work at and change if they see the need for that. So these are words that would describe the typical D, the person that is dominant and driven. Now we will look at the second element of the disc, influence, the I, which stands for influence. A person that measures high on influence. The following words might be very applicable and appropriate to describe such a person that measures high on I. Persuasive. People with influence are very persuasive. In general, they are good with languages, good in their communication, can speak well, converse well, good in interaction, in building relationships. So most of the people that measure high on the disc tend to be good with interpersonal relationships. And because of all these things that I've just mentioned, they come across as being very persuasive. So they can convince you of many things. You can just think that they would make good teachers or good salespeople or people that can describe and explain concepts quite well. The second element that explains or describes a person that measures high on I is charming. People love them. People like to be in their presence. They are in general very charming, and they would charm people. They can flirt. They enjoy things like that. Anything that's got to do with people. Let me draw a distinction here that you might also have found in my overview video on the disc, is if we look at the one side and the other side, and on this side the D and the C, and on the other side the I and the S. And on the I and the S side, these people tend to be more people-focused. And the D on the C side, people tend to be more task-focused. So the person that measures high on influence are on the people side, people's person. They enjoy people. And because of that, they tend to be charming and convincing. Another element or word that would describe a person that measures high on I is enthusiastic. They're very enthusiastic, very positive, upbeat kind of people. Enjoy to energize other people around them as well with their enthusiasm. Most emotions are actually contagious. We catch them from others when we get into their presence. When someone is depressed and you start to talk with them, you might feel down, 10 minutes down the line in a conversation like that. And the same goes for people that are upbeat. They just exude that enthusiasm like the I does. And in exuding that energy, other people pick up on that. But in general, they're very enthusiastic. Also optimistic. If one has to place optimism on a scale, one would say optimism, and on the other end of the scale, pessimism, and maybe pitch in the middle, realism. I's tend to be optimistic. So they look at the world in a different way, always seeing opportunities and potential. And they often don't shy away from that. They would like to exploit the opportunity, or they would like to release the potential. And that's also often the case, that other people experience them as being optimistic. They might be a bit too much for the people that are pessimistic, and in a lesser way be a bit too much for the people who are realistic. So they see chance for a lot, and it's one of the traits that define them. They're also inspiring because of their ability to love people and to mingle with people and to relate with people, combined with the enthusiasm and the ability to be persuasive, to use language very effectively, and to be good at actually using language makes them inspiring, especially if they also have this gift of encouragement, encouraging people. They come across as being very inspiring. Another word that would describe the I is sociable. They love people, love to be amongst people. They actually draw a lot of energy from other people and to be around other people and enjoy other people. So it makes them very sociable. Another word that would explain the I is trusting. People trust them. They often have also a lot of self-trust or self-confidence. And they exude that through being inspirational, and therefore other people trust them. And another word that would explain them is warm. They are in general warm people, inviting others into their presence, inviting others to speak, to talk, inviting others to share. So they are very warm and embracing in some way. And then a word that one would expect them to be is influential. Well, they measure high on I, which means influence, so they are very influential in the lives of people. When a high I finds his identity and walks in that, then they also pursue this thing to be influential in other people's lives, because in a way they believe that is part of the contribution they can make to the lives of other people, to better life for themselves and other people. So it's not just a kind of a manipulative influence that they would like to exert into the lives or onto the lives of others. It's also just they would like to share, and they would like to be inspiring, and they would like to be persuasive, and they would like to teach, and they would like to impart what they have to share with other people. So the influence comes more from that. And if the heart is good, then that influence is also good. And then another word that would explain the I is magnetic. Magnetic in the sense that people are drawn to them. People gravitate towards them because of their inviting nature, because of them always being surrounded by people and engaging with people in a friendly, non-intrusive manner. Often they would be magnetic to other people, especially people that has got a high need for acceptance, because people that measure high on I, the influence people, they are in general very accepting of other people. They do have their reservations, and they would sometimes not get along with everyone. But in general, being warm, kind, inspiring, sociable, and all those words that describe them, they tend to be magnetic.